we are the ones that wanna play, always wanna go, but you never wanna stay. And we are the ones that wanna choose, always wanna play, but you never wanna lose.
Hello, this feels so weird. This is Savage Joy. I am back. And with a vengeance, of course. Some of you guys may know me from, I actually started my show with Steve. Steve first gave me a chance on Real Progressives a little over 5 years ago. And I was with them for over 3 years. And then I just kind of like branched off on my own, and I still have my own channel and will continue to do it. But I kind of reached out to Steve and the team, and I was like, what do you think about me, coming back one day a week, just every week, doing my show here with Andrew, Postmortem Breakdown. And they were like, yeah. So, and just a shout out to the team. The main reason that got me kind of homesick, to say the least, was it was the 5-year anniversary last month. And, I'm one of the lead national organizers on March for Medicare for All. And no indie media was even half as supportive as Real Progressives, not even half as supportive. And it made me realize, like, oh man, I really do miss them. And we all stayed in contact, and, I'm close with several of the people in it. And it just seemed like a natural thing to just be like, okay, I respect my roots. I always have. So let's just do this shit again. So that is the story of why I am back. And I am back with my comrade, Andrew. We've been doing Postmortem Breakdown together for about a year. And I have corrupted him into becoming more and more left, and it's beautiful. So Andrew is in Beantown. Do you want to share a little bit about who you are?
Sure. Hello, everyone. And it's pretty cool. When I'm looking at the chats, I recognize some names. Desert Mantis, hello. And of course, Kami John up here as well. So great to see some familiar faces as well, even though, first time streaming on this channel. But happy to be doing it with Joy. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm also on another channel, People's Voice Network. I'm one of the co-hosts there. We are a bunch of leftists that talk about just different topics in the news from a leftist perspective. And there's a couple of shows that you can find me on there. Overlook News that I have with Z, where we talk about overlooked news that a lot of people aren't talking about, right? And then we also have different panels as well. So really happy to be, part of what with Joy on Real Progress in Action, and yeah, happy to start talking on Postmortem Breakdown. This is our third channel we've been on with Postmortem Breakdown. So it's
one of them's mine, so it's not. I mean, that sounds bad. Like that sounds like we actually met on one channel that was kind of like a more like everybody kind of came together like type thing, and then on mine, and now on here. But we haven't been made orphans. That has been our choice. But just to give you guys an idea of our, and before like a million people ask, yes, we both know MMT, and yes, we are fooling with it, and yes, we both love Stephanie Kelton. Andrew has read the book.
I've read the book. It's a very good book.
I've met Stephanie numerous times. I went to the MMT conference with Steve and yeah, all that fun stuff. Now, you guys know damn right well we would not be sitting here on this channel unless Steve knew that we knew MMT. Okay, so we'll just get that out of the way. But kind of just a quick, I have COVID, so that's why I sound like that. But I wasn't going to miss this. So just a quick kind of synopsis of our show. It's very different from what Steve and Luke, I love you, Luke. I adore you to pieces. Thank you so much for everything and for promoting this. It's very different from what they do in the respect of Andrew and myself go over current news, but we talk about a lot of things that other people are not talking about on independent media. We talk a lot about strikes and unions and activism. And, in the 5 years I've been doing a show, I certainly notice more and more people who do shows simply talking about other podcasters and nothing of substance. So we still talk substance. We still talk issues. So that's kind of what you're going to find. Andrew, do you want to give a quick breakdown of what our topics tonight are going to be?
Yeah. So our topics tonight are going to be UPS drivers. We're going to be talking about how the terrible conditions of UPS drivers that are going through. We're going to be talking about Dan Price and how he isn't as much of a class traitor as people have thought he was. We're going to be talking about actually a small little town, a city in Alabama, who just dissolved their police department temporarily. A little bit more on that later, because that's a very interesting story, particularly that's happened in Alabama. We're going to be talking about how the Pentagon announced more in weapons, $775 million in weapons to Ukraine. And last but not least, we are going to be talking about a Sam Harris take that was very interesting and revealing. So yeah, definitely a lot of variety of topics that I'm looking forward to discussing and such.
Absolutely. And before I forget, that's my Twitter handle right there. Anytime you guys see something like, why is nobody talking about this, or something kind of obscure you want to learn more about, send it to me. I am so open to, and so is Andrew. Like, I love learning. So absolutely send me any kind of news that people aren't talking about that needs to be discussed. But I digress. Andrew, you did something pretty amazing this weekend. Why don't you share what you did?
Yeah. So for those of you who have seen me on Joy's channel previously and on People's Voice, I've been talking about this a lot, but I realize some of you are new here. So just a little full context as to kind of what is going on. So in Boston, there's a Starbucks location that has been on strike for now it's, I believe, 37 days. Okay. They unionized back last month in early July, I believe. Actually, it was June. Recently, they unionized, okay? And since they have been unionized, Starbucks, that Starbucks location in particular, has been practicing a lot of union busting tactics, right? And so to name a few, they brought in a new interim manager that was pretty homophobic to the point where once July 1st came around, she took down the pride flag because apparently it was blocking something along the windows, right? Who knows why she couldn't have moved it somewhere else, right? So that was one thing that happened. Another thing was, so 20 hours, Starbucks workers, or they call them partners, have to work 20 hours in order to qualify for health insurance, right? Oh, yeah, because we have a fucked up healthcare system. Oh, sorry, we have a screwed up healthcare system, right?
Oh, please, I say fuck all the time.
Okay, cool. I realize them,
Oh, please.
So they so what they've been doing is giving a lot of these workers unpredictable hours and giving them less than 20 hours so they don't qualify. And they're understaffing the shifts, right? So all along this, along with homophobic comments, racist comments by the interim manager, has led them to go on strike. The store has been closed ever since. And so they've been picketing outside. So this past weekend, actually, there was a rally that Sarah Nelson, Sean O'Brien, so Sarah Nelson, who is the president of the Airlines Association, right, union, and Sean O'Brien, who is the president of the UPS union, and Bernie Sanders led a rally in Boston this weekend. And what was great was that some of the Starbucks workers, particularly some of the lead organizers, were the first ones to talk at this rally. This rally had 1,500 people. And I think what was great is that before the rally, a bunch of people came by, including Sarah Nelson and Bernie Sanders, to the picket to talk to some of the workers. Bernie gave a few minutes of a speech. Sarah Nelson was there
for assholes.
Right. Yeah. And it was great. It was overall, I mean, it was just great to really see a coalition of people, particularly at the rally afterwards, of 1,500 people, and all the energy just get together. I see Desert Mantis. You said Sarah Nelson is a force. Well, I think one of the things that I think is worth mentioning is that and I actually wrote this down because I think this is a really great quote. While she was speaking, and you can watch the stream as well, where she spoke, she gave a very good speech. She said, "For if every industry would simply hold up and stop working, the capitalists would yield to any and all demands." If it was that kind of commitment that built up the labor movement. She was talking previously, in history. And so I thought that was pretty badass, because here we have a pretty high profile figure, particularly in the labor space, essentially calling for a general strike at some time, right? Unfortunately, Bernie did not, when he spoke, he did not talk about general strike, which, I think, and as me and Joy have talked about, right, there are definitely criticisms I think we both have of Bernie, of how far he is willing to go, right? You imagine if Bernie brought up a general strike, how many people that would have riled up. And so, but I think, yeah, it was a great event to be in. I was happy I was there. And I think, oftentimes you sometimes feel, with all the gaslighting, you're like, am I the only one that's like feeling this way, right? And I think when you combine the fact that we have Starbucks workers on the ground that have been for 37 days fighting for their rights, and then we have 1,500 people who are just willing to just come. Technically, it was in Cambridge, Boston. Cambridge is right next to Boston. That were just came to Cambridge, and we're just willing to like listen to everyone speak. And talk about corporate greed in many different shapes and sizes. Really, I think it was something, at least for me, I just need a little bit of rejuvenation when sometimes we feel like, where is this movement going? Do we have any hope? Because sometimes when you look at Twitter, you're like, God damn, people are just like, I don't know, like brains are dead, And so,
tweet, we need a general strike. Okay, when and where, bitch? I've been saying that for 2 years. When and where? Or just keep tweeting. It's tweet harder. Come on, this is really changing shit right now. Like, I feel like the world is changing just by your post. So, yeah, I mean, like, talk about it and be about it. Stop just... It's slacktivism. It's like, let's just sit online and be like, why aren't people getting in the streets? I don't know. Why the fuck aren't you? I mean, every time I organize something, I'm like, okay, why aren't thousands more people here? Like, it's very much apathetic. And people do get very defeatist. And the fact that these people have been outside protesting and striking for 37 days, and Starbucks has not even relented. That is fucking mind-blowing, because they are such money-hungry bastards that, like, they're willing to have their store closed for 37 days, then give people fucking fair wages and healthcare. That is how fucked up Starbucks is. And if you guys spend your $7 on getting their coffee and shit, you are enabling that. There is no polite way to put it. You are exacerbating that problem. You are enabling it, and you are condoning what they're doing to people. The one good part that happened this weekend was the Memphis 7, who are 7 Starbucks employees who were fired due to union organizing. They were, a judge mandated that they receive their jobs back. Now, that is a small victory. However, Andrew, how fucking awkward would that be for you to go back and be like, I know y'all don't want my ass here. Okay.
Right. And who's to
fired me, but now I'm going to show up every day, and I'm going to volunteer overtime, and I'm going to be in your face. Like, oh my God, you could really like make their lives hell, and it would be beautiful. But it shows you that these people are so fucking rich, and they would rather people be in pain and be trying to get on Medicaid and things like that, because they're bajillionaires and they really don't give a fuck about you. And then they lie to their employees. They told a trans woman that she would be cut off from health insurance. They just lie. They say all these things against unions, and the fear tactics do work a lot of the times. And I get it. People can't afford literally to lose the little breadcrumbs they do have. So shout out to Starbucks unions, Trader Joe unions, everyone that is Amazon unions, everyone who is out there who has accomplished it is fighting for it now and thinking about doing it. Do it. Please do it, because this has to keep going. I mean, this is like, there's over 100 Starbucks who have now unionized?
I think there's over 250 now.
Oh my God, that's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely incredible. So that seed was planted. You're not going to get a better time than right now. Like, so fucking props to every fucking one of them. You actually touching on Sean O'Brien, who spoke at the rally, being the head of the UPS union, that kind of leads into our first story.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of context before I show you this video, which, by the way, just letting you know, some of it's a little intense. It does show a worker passing out, which we'll get into why the worker had to pass out to begin with on the job. So UPS drivers, are part of the union. They make up 360,000 union employees, right? And so their contract actually expires July 31st, 2023, okay? And so you bet there's going to be some things that they are going to be demanding that are going to be part of their contract. Particularly, one of the things is air conditioning, right? So believe it or not, these UPS trucks do not have air conditioning. Now, I don't know where all of you are living right now, whether or not you are in the U.S. or someone else who are watching, but where I am, and I believe, Joy, where you have been, it's been a pretty fucking hot summer, right? And so, there's been heat waves after heat waves. And so imagine not having AC and driving around all day. That's what all of these UPS drivers have to deal with. And so Sean O'Brien, who was one of the people who spoke, as I think Joy just mentioned, at the rally that happened this weekend in Boston, has been saying that, hey, we are more than willing, if we are not getting what in our contract next year, we are all willing to stop working, right? Which, as you can imagine, would put a dent on the economy, right? Because now it's left to FedEx and Amazon drivers. By the way, FedEx and Amazon drivers, especially Amazon, they have air conditioning in their cars. Can you imagine if Amazon is outdoing you on labor, right? Unbelievable.
Yeah, good point.
So
they make you pee in a bottle, but at least they have fucking air conditioning.
Yeah, at least you can pee with AC.
Exactly.
Yeah, that should be a little slogan at Amazon.
Yeah, we need to make those shirts and not sell them on Amazon.
Yes, yes. And so I'm just going to be showing this video now from More Perfect Union that really just kind of goes.
Follow them, you guys. Oh my God, they're so good.
Yeah, they really break things down very well. So yeah, let's get on with this.
We're learning more about that alarming video of a UPS guy in distress from the extreme heat.
UPS drivers call these trucks the box. Outside, we're registering 95 degrees, but inside, we're approaching 120.
UPS driver died in California. UPS driver died in Texas. This is us too. Like, you know, people see the package car. He's probably just in there sorting. Well, guess what? He could be passed out back there.
In the midst of record heat waves, UPS drivers are on the front lines, working 10, 12, even 14-hour days with no relief. But there's a simple solution, a technology that's been around for almost a century that would save lives.
Any normal citizen on a hot summer day, when you step in your car, the first thing you do is turn on your car and turn the AC on. You do that for a reason.
But UPS refuses to pay for it, even as they're raking in record profits, even though it would cost them next to nothing.
FedEx and Amazon put air conditioning in their delivery vehicles. UPS, the number one shipper in the world, does not. And we are dying without it.
So we talked to UPS drivers in Florida, Texas, and New York about what it feels like to spend your days trapped in the box and how they're fighting for access to AC.
People, you know, having heat strokes in the desert or dying from heat exhaustion in the desert. I never really understood that or comprehended that, you know, when watching movies, but working in the conditions that we work in on a daily basis, it's pretty astonishing how quick your body can collapse and shut down. I've had a digital thermometer in the back of my cargo area, and I've seen it reach north of 145 degrees Fahrenheit.
There's no ventilation in that cargo area. You know, you're opening like the tube. The heat in there is stale. The faucet of sweat is literally dripping down your face. The shelves are made out of steel. So if I'm grabbing a package off the shelf, I'm going to get burned here. I'm going to get burned here. I mean, hot. So hot that we joke that we could scramble eggs on the shelves.
Even on the hottest summer days, UPS forces drivers to work long hours at a dangerous pace.
UPS is very performance-based. You know, let's go. This
is what I took from that video. They indoctrinate you so much that this kid got up after fainting from the heat and rang the customer's bell. Because that's what they want.
There's a direct correlation between performance and how fast you do the job and us passing out from heat stroke.
In 2018, I was on the verge of a heat stroke. By the time I got to the ER, I couldn't speak to my wife, form a normal sentence, and was in and out of consciousness.
Talk to enough drivers and you'll find that these stories are extremely common.
In my 25 years at UPS, I can say there's a countless number of drivers who have been hospitalized for dehydration.
I know of about 5 to 7 drivers in the last 2 weeks that have gone to the ER for heat exhaustion.
Between 2015 and 2019, at least 107 UPS workers were hospitalized for heat-related illnesses. But those are just the incidents that are reported.
Several, coworkers of mine that are new drivers call in heat exhaustion, fatigue, and it's swept under the rug. They brought them in. They'll sit them down in the office, not administer medical attention. so the company doesn't get hit with a injury. The next day, 2-3 days later, you see that same driver cramping up in his vehicle, throwing up on the side of the road, and ultimately ending up in the ER.
And the drivers who get to that stage, they're instructed to call management before calling 911.
That's a standard operating procedure for UPS drivers. I know for a fact it significantly delayed my medical attention.
They're told not to call 911. They're told not to report it to OSHA. So you have a lot of unreported cases. And that's why, because UPS doesn't want those reported stories.
That's Teresa Clank, a registered nurse whose husband nearly died while working for UPS in 2016.
When my husband almost died and I saw the tears in his eyes, I said enough is enough, and I started the petition.
That petition called on UPS to provide air conditioning to all of their drivers. It now has over 1 million signatures, but UPS hasn't listened. Instead, the company points to its Cool Solutions program, designed to offer drivers tips and tricks for managing extreme heat.
These trainings are probably, a minute long. Remember, we're training in the heat. There's no AC ever available to us. So we just hit enter, enter, enter. We don't care if we get the questions right. We got to keep it moving.
UPS encourages drivers to take measures like finding shade, eating watermelon, and drinking water. But that assumes they have access to water.
Here in Texas, at least in our area, in our local, in my building, we have not been provided water for at least 2 to 3 years.
They give us water, but that just happened recently. They have been giving us water and ice for about the last 5 to 7 years. So we always wonder who died. And I know that sounds cold because people are dying.
Esteban Chavez had just turned 24 years old the day before he collapsed while on the job.
A driver died recently in California. That was Esteban. And UPS didn't even mention it the next morning. Because what happens when you mention it? You have to accept some sort of responsibility there.
It's a pain that's never going to go away. This could bring awareness to his line of work, to the other drivers that are out there.
We are the voices of Chavez. We are the voices in the back of the vehicle from a heat stroke, heat exhaustion. And we tell United Parcel Service that we are sick and tired and enough is enough of them putting profit over people.
Instead of protecting drivers, UPS enriched wealthy shareholders through $5 billion in stock buybacks.
UPS made $24 billion in revenue last quarter. They can easily afford to put AC in those package cars.
UPS saves only $185 upfront by removing AC from vehicles. The company claims that adding air conditioning to vehicles would be impractical, given the frequent number of stops that drivers are forced to make.
It's not that it's not practical, it's that they don't want to spend the money. That's less money that goes into their shareholders' pockets.
All of our competitors offer air conditioning to their employees who do their deliveries. This is not groundbreaking innovation here.
You got air conditioner in there?
Yeah, we're gonna turn that fan on wide open right there. This is all I have.
My response to Carol Tomei, the CEO of UPS, is come out with us. Get your brown uniform on. We are not exaggerating. Feel it for yourself, and then maybe there will be some compassion there.
UPS has yet to show such signs of compassion, but within the next year, they may be forced to change their mind. On August 1st, 2023, current contract for the Teamsters at UPS is set to expire. So Teamsters are gearing up for a standoff with the company, and their demands for air conditioning are likely to be at the center.
The Teamsters Union has been staging a series of protests across the country for UPS drivers.
With the upcoming contract negotiations, air conditioning is going to be a huge topic. I think we're fortunate in that we have new union leadership.
We are 365 days away from a potential strike.
That's Sean O'Brien.
Either we get the best contract or we put this company on the street and set the example for the entire labor movement. 2023 is coming, and we need them to start changing the way they think immediately.
My message for the company, stop putting profits over your employees' lives.
If I had air conditioning, see me out there, and I got that air conditioning blowing.
That is so fucking infuriating. I as a, I don't know, most of you guys probably know, but about 2 years ago, I became disabled and lost most of my eyesight overnight. So with blindness comes loss of my job, obviously. And it was legal. I'm in Pennsylvania. So anyway, so once I got approved on Social Security, I was trying to find a job like crazy. Like anyone, like I'm super overqualified for a lot of the jobs. I've been working in, in office settings, in, administration for over a decade. But the only person who would call me back after months and months and months was a store. And so I was like, I'm desperate. I need money. I had no income for 2 years, over 2 years while applying for disability. So I took the job. So I work in the back room of a store, unloading trucks, lifting like 30-pound boxes, physical labor, 43 years old. There's no air conditioning. None. So I have been like, I'm about to pass out. My knees are shaking. I have to go sit down. I go through literally in a 5-hour shift. I go through 4 bottles of water. 4 bottles in a 5-hour shift. That's how bad it is back there. Okay. And corporate came in 2 weeks ago one day and they met Savage Joy. And my coworkers don't know Savage Joy. They do now. And I was like, do you think it's acceptable that we have no air conditioning in here? I was like, we literally call it a sweatshop. And we're not joking. I was like, within 15 minutes back here, when I walk in, my glasses steam up when I walk back in the back room. I was like, within 15 minutes, we are drenched. This is unacceptable. And he's like, well, blah, 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 and all this shit. And I was like, do you have a car? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so here's what's going to happen. This is going to be fixed. And I'm going to contact you if it's not. And he's like, well, and I was like, nope. Don't even. And I went at him for at least 10 minutes. Guess what? We had air the next morning. Lasted 2 days. It's like, oh, we satiated her. Now let's go back. And so now I'm back to literally just fucking, we're all sweating our asses off. And everyone else I work with is in their 60s. So I'm like, it's so inhumane. It's so fucked up. So these guys, don't get me wrong, have it way worse. But this is also, I'm not going to say who I work for, but it's a very big company. It's not like fucking Walmart or Amazon. Trust me, I wouldn't do that. But it's a well-off company who could give air. So when I see stuff like that, it's so fucking infuriating because it's like, that's what I know I'm in for when I go to work every fucking day. I know I'm going to walk in there and just be lightheaded and lethargic and just count the seconds until I can leave. But it's desperation. What are you going to do? So my heart goes out to these people, and it really breaks my heart that they're not up for renegotiation for a year. August 2023. That's a year away. This is, oh my God. Andrew, what was your thoughts as you were watching that?
Well, yeah, I mean, as I was watching that, I realized, yeah, out of the stories you've told, you could definitely relate to working in overheated conditions. There seems to be a theme here where it's just like, oh, our AC just doesn't work or work correctly. And sorry that you have to work in 105-degree temperature. But one of the things I think that really stood out to me was that and continue to do his job, right? Because I think on a lesser extent, a lot of us could probably, or maybe in a similar extent, can relate to the time where you're feeling sick and you're like, maybe I should stay home. But instead you go to work because it's like, nope, I got to keep going. And some of it is that inner capitalism, right? That we're brainwashed to just keep going no matter what. And some of it is literal. Some of it might be, well, I won't get paid, right? Because my job doesn't fucking pay me because we don't have mandated PTO time. Or the third instance could be, I literally just have to get these deadlines done, or else because if I don't go, none of it gets done, and then it all falls on me, right? And
Exactly.
I think that that person was probably feeling the third one right there, where it was like, I have all these, I'm probably going to get in trouble for doing it, regardless of whether or not I was unconscious for a couple minutes or not. I mean, luckily they had cameras out there so you could catch the footage to show that, or else we wouldn't have even known that was an instance that happened, right? So
I think that was the worst part, when he's there passing out unconscious and he still gets up and rings the doorbell. That is heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah. So Jenna, they are unionized. UPS is unionized, and yeah, as we were saying, they got 1 year, and then they're renegotiating their contracts.
Right, but the reason why they are unionized and they're in this predicament is because he said that new people were now elected. So what's going on is in the previous union leaders, this is like what they are tolerating. Now there's new leaders, but they do not have the votes to implement anything until next August. So unfortunately, and we've covered a lot of stories like that where, it's not enough to just be union. You got to be a fucking good union, because this is an example of someone who's union and still gets fucked over. So it really depends on, now the way Starbucks is doing it, the unions are comprised of employees. That is the way to go if you can. Because they're going to have your best interest at heart. They do your same job. But sometimes you got these bigger companies and they don't necessarily always hire people who have worked your job or have your mindset or are, have class solidarity with people who are hurting. So yeah, Jenna, great point. It's not enough to be a union. It has to be a union that is represented by people who are empathetic and have class solidarity with you.
Yeah. And so it too depends on how democratized the decisions are within a union, right?
Absolutely.
Some unions are very, who kind of like what you were saying, Joy, like the people on the ground don't necessarily have as much of a say, right? Others have become more democratized because, interestingly enough, there has been a lot of push within unions to make it a more democratic process, which also parallels to the whole how people are engaged in the labor movement to begin with. So a lot of going on that. I mean, I think, I think we've said this before on this show too, that unions are great. I think they are also a stepping stone to more worker co-ops, hopefully, right? Where people, so, I think that's another thing too, where yes, it's great. We're pushing for unions right now because that's where the energy is and that's where the best thing is. And it's a lot fucking better than not having a union and working in terrible conditions. But I think hopefully we can continue that conversation to how we can continue to democratize the workplace, and that will hope that will have a lot better quality of life for people. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just saw we have a super chat from Julie. Thank you so much. I shall tell my husband. It's his birthday. And I couldn't take him out for dinner because I have COVID. So I'm like, yay, let's get takeout. Woohoo! So he will appreciate that. And we appreciate that, Julie. Thank you so much. What was our next topic, Andrew?
Yeah, so speaking of abuse of power, we have a little bit of interesting news regarding Dan Price. So so we pull up the article. So this is from the New York Post.
I know it's not the best source, but it's verified. Trust me, I did my due diligence.
Right. Exactly. There, you can look up other sources as well. Part of the reason why we're showing the New York Post too is because, others like the New York Times, they have a paywall. So, thanks New York Times for making yourself accessible to the masses for people to read up on it news, but that's the New York Times for you. But so Dan Price. So let's just go to his tweet first. He recently, so this was a few days ago, right?
Let's talk about, for anyone who doesn't know who he is, he became famous several years back for being a CEO who capped his own wage at $70,000 a year. Now, is this a huge reduction? Of course. But the thing about Dan is that his hubris has always driven me insane. People absolutely have worshipped him because he's a CEO who only makes $70,000 a year. Well, guess what? You don't get props for that. That's all you should make. I'm not giving you fucking props for being like, oh, yes, pay me less so you can pay my employees more. And that's what he says. He's like, I pay my employees more because I took a pay cut. Well, you don't get props for that, dude. It's your fucking company. It's your company. I'm not giving you fucking props. So this dude has written on this for years and so sanctimonious all the time. And when I call him out for that shit, people just swarm me. Oh my God, he's such a hero. He's like, he could be a billionaire, but he's taking $70,000. You know what? I'll take $70,000 a year in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Please give me $70,000. So no, you're not some fucking kind of hero, but that's how he's known as this hero CEO who could take more money but isn't.
Yeah. So recent developments have been happening where there have been some charges of sexual assault, which we'll get into a second. And so he tweeted a few days ago, "Dear colleagues, today I resigned as CEO of Gravity Payments, the company I founded 18 years ago. Tammy Kroll, our longtime chief operating officer, has been named the company's new CEO. My number one priority is for our employees to work for the best company in the world, but my presence has become a distraction here. I also need to step aside from these duties to focus full-time on fighting false accusations made against me. I'm not going anywhere." Okay.
Now, this is not the first time he's been accused of this. I want to point that out. These rumors have been going on for over 3 years. Well, I shouldn't even say rumors, these accusations.
Right. And it's interesting the different accusations are. So here it says, earlier this year, Seattle prosecutors charged Price with misdemeanor assault and reckless driving after he allegedly attempted to kiss the woman following a business meeting and then grabbed her by the throat when she rejected his advances. After the alleged altercation, Price drove to a parking lot and performed donuts in his Tesla while she was in the Musk car, while she was still in the car, according to the Seattle Times. Price pleaded not guilty to the charge in May and has denied wrongdoing. So, and then it goes into what we were describing as he got widespread attention from the 70 paying all his employees $70,000, and he had since positioned himself as an outspoken workers' rights advocate and built a cult following on social media with nearly 800,000 followers on LinkedIn. Wow. His posts ripping corporate leaders while calling for improved employee pay and benefits regularly go viral. So,
hey, Andrew, do me a favor. Look up how much he's worth.
Sure. I'll try doing that.
Because if you have that building 18 years and you make $70,000 a year, and I know he's written books and stuff too, I think. What, he's a millionaire?
So the first thing that popped up, and it says, according to four sources, $12 million. He's
so about worker solidarity. What a hero.
Yeah, he's an entrepreneur from Michigan. Yeah, so he's got a net worth of $12 million. So
why don't people look at that shit before they're like, oh my God, he only takes $70,000.
Right.
Oh my God.
So
wow, what a fucking hero.
As Christina says, he's set for life. Yeah, if you make $12 million,
my heart goes out to him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But the hubris of someone like that they really think they're invincible. So the fact that this woman is saying that, he tried to kiss her and that he was offended, that how dare she say no? I mean, that is a narcissist, and he is a narcissist. This is bananas. Are you frozen, Andrew?
I was for a second.
Okay.
And now I'm back. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So fuck you, Dan Price.
Yes. Fuck
Here's your
you,
worker
Dan.
solidarity.
Absolutely. Let's just take a quick break and look at some of these comments, because I know that you all have been putting up some good ones. So, yeah. So, Dority says, how much was he making in stock options, though? Right?
Exactly.
So, good question. And that goes down to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, like, us poors really have to think about the fact that, like, that's not their only income. Like, with us, it's like, how much do you make? That's how much we make. But to people like that, like, when you're going to praise something like that, someone like that, yeah, stocks, appearances, books, like, all that shit brings revenue too. So it's very, as people who live like paycheck to paycheck, or even middle lower class, we think about like job, like that's all of our income. But these rich ass people, they have it all over.
Yes, they do. So, yeah, we're gonna be switching topics a little bit now, and we're gonna be talking about police and MIC now. Right. So, this is an interesting topic that no one is talking about, and I think, ironically, and you're going to hear this in a second, because police brutality in Alabama. Okay, not surprising at all, right? However, the response to police, it's just called police violence at this point, police terrorism, right? The response to this the blatant racism of the police has been very interesting, particularly in this small town in Alabama. So here we go. So this is an NPR, right? And there's been a lot of local articles on this too. After a police officer,
and no judgment either way, but if you're ACAB, feel free to put it in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. This
Anyway, continue.
This is definitely an understanding space for that sentiment. So after a police officer sent a racist text, a town dissolved its police department. The police department was disbanded last week after a racist text message sent by one of its 3 officers surfaced on social media. This is a town of like 1,800 people, by the way, for context. The police chief and the assistant police chief were suspended. The city of Vincent Mayor James Latimer confirmed to NPR. Then the city council voted to dissolve the entire department, a move the mayor is calling a reversible decision. The remaining officers subsequently resigned. The city will be relying on the Greater Shelby County Sheriff's Office to respond to emergency calls during the span of a year, according to the mayor. Vincent is about a 45-minute drive from Birmingham. Less than 2,000 residents live there, 85% who are white and 12% who are black. In the text message, a screenshot shows someone 752, which is one of the cops, writing a racist message about slavery to an unidentified recipient. And give me 1 second because I have the joke written down, the quote-unquote joke that texted. Said, what do you call a pregnant slave? The person who received it wrote a question mark, is seen writing a question mark. And then the answer was BOGO, buy one, get one free. Okay, so these are what the cops are texting behind closed doors. Soon after the text message first resurfaced, the city's police chief, James Shriley, told AL.com that an internal investigation has been conducted and that appropriate disciplinary action has been taken. 2 days later, Latimer announced at a city council meeting that he had suspended Strigley and the assistant chief, John L. Goss. The council then moved to pass a resolution to disband the police department entirely. Officer Lee Carden, the 3rd department member, submitted his resignation by a text message hours after the city council vote. The Associated Press reported efforts to reach Strigley and Goss for comment were not immediately successful. And then, Latimer, the mayor, says it gives us some breathing time and time to make sure we do the right thing. He said the city will use the remainder of this year to recruit and rebuild the police force. The city council also plans to hire a private firm to investigate the officers. And then, Reverend Kenneth Dukes, who is the president of the Shelby County branch of the NAACP, told NPR he was encouraged by how the black community in Vincent unified around the issue and spoke out to city leaders. He added that last week was a turning point for many black residents who had experienced racism in the past. Dukes and other community members plan to keep organizing as the city decides how to move forward. The black community isn't just going to go back in the corner. They're tired of being disrespected, so they'll continue to come together to speak out. I think the entire city of Vincent will improve and get better with every citizen stands together to speak out against racism, disrespect, and inequality. So wanted to share that a little bit because I think at a time, we've been seeing continuously abuse and nothing happening, blatant abuse. And this is just an example of there was something done. But yeah, Joy, I want to hear kind of your thoughts on that whole situation.
Well, I do see some ACABs, so
good.
So I guess a few things. Number one, I find it very interesting. Well, first of all, that joke is one of the most fucking repulsive things I've ever heard in my entire life.
Right.
Just beyond reprehensible. But I find it really interesting that was texted to someone whose number they didn't know although the other 2 police officers resigned. Why?
Right.
Because obviously they have shit they're scared is going to come out too. Why? Okay, so one gets in trouble because they sent a racist text. Why did the other 2 resign?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's my first thinking is, okay, what are they trying to hide? Because they're trying to cover their ass from something. And then the other thing I thought of was, I wonder if this is kind of like a key thing, like make police departments smaller so we can just fucking get rid of their asses. Like, you know, you have a police department with 3 people and it just dissolves and you're like, it's cool, we'll take care of it until we train other people. And it's like, and I know, you know, a lot of cities are bigger than that, but it's very interesting that
yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, vast majority have more than like 1,800 people.
A lot of cities have more than 2,000 people. Okay, I get it, but but I think it's really interesting that, you know, and plus, like, it makes me think of movies, like how, like, you know, places with like 3 officers, if one like dies or steps down, it's like their son moves up or something, you know, and it's just like a new person just gets appointed. They're like sheriffs, not cops. But yeah, I think it's kind of amazing that they have no police right now. And I think it's fucking awesome that, well, first of all, it's nice to see that a police department actually did fire this racist fuck. But my question is always, you know, do they have a severance? Do they have paid vacation? Because every fucking time someone who has abused, hurt, killed, made racist comments, you name it, they all get paid leave, severance, all kinds of shit. And it's never just like, you're done. So that's kind of what I think of as well. What about you?
Yeah, and don't quote me on that. I think when I was reading, because I read a bunch of different articles to try and get a whole general understanding of what was going on. At least one of the officers was suspended with pay at first, but then they were like, all right, you're out without pay. So I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on that.
Well, you should have to pay that fucking back.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely. So no, definitely do bring a good point. There definitely are a lot questions for me, particularly. It sounds like, at least with that NPR article, that there had been that the police were doing, right? Because it sounds like the NAACP leader, I'm blanking on his name now, but it's in the article, was saying, you know, we're glad that, you know, particularly the Black community that has, I forget how he said it, but he kind of said it in an indirect way that this has been an issue for a while, right?
Yeah.
So I think for me is when you make a decision like that, there's a lot of other things happening that we is not public to us that led to, at least what I'm thinking, led to them being like, all right, you know what? We're getting rid of them and we're starting from scratch and we're going to figure out what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, on the surface, at least right now, right, with a lot of those blanks, I mean, it's not every day that you hear, even though it's just 3 people, it's not every day that you hear a mayor and the council being like, all right, time to get them out of here, right?
Especially when there's no other police. Like, they're literally saying they would rather have no police than these police.
Right. And they're like, we would rather a surrounding county.
Right.
Just come over here if we need anything. But like, other than that, you can stay over there and we'll just be in our little bubble.
Yeah.
So Jenna asked a good question as well. Did they get shuffled into a neighboring community's department?
Exactly.
Right.
Just like, priests. Well, go to a new city, go to a new parish. They do that with cops all the time too. Great point, Jenna.
Yeah. So
Good.
I thought, the reason why I wanted to bring this up was because, the responses that they do in cities when shit like this happens. But I think it does lead to more questions. And I think the question does kind of come up like, all right, this town did hold these cops accountable, at least get them out of there, right? Hopefully other places can start doing the same thing, right? This could set some sort of positive example. Just like Starbucks strikes have set an example for 250 locations to go, so yeah.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
So speaking of local terrorists, now we're going to talk about how our country's a terrorist.
Woo! Yeah. So
where did all those Ukraine flag emojis go?
They're still
Everybody forgot about it.
Yes,
we are still in Ukraine. We still are, and there are still Nazis there as well.
Yes, there are. All right. So, Pentagon announces extra. Let me close this ad. Love it when ads just pop up on random things. When we're doing live streams, clearly they don't know we're doing a live stream. So
YouTube, they're live. What should we promote?
Right. Knowing how much they're probably doing something like that now. So Pentagon announces extra $775 million in weapons to Ukraine. Oh, hey, Katie Halper and Rand Paul. That's random. Well, maybe not, but let's get that video out of there. So the in missiles, drones. Pause this. Missiles, drones, vehicles, and mine clearing equipment to Ukraine to help in its war with Russia as the conflict enters a near standstill, the Pentagon announced Friday. The new assistance package will include 16 howitzers and ammunition, AGM-88 high-speed anti-radiation missiles, ammunition for high-mobility artillery rocket systems, 15 Scan-Eagle reconnaissance drones, and armored vehicles, among with other armaments, a senior defense official told reporters. The package comes at a critical time as Ukraine and Russia battle for control of the eastern part of Ukraine. Nearly 6 months into the war, the two sides are locked in a near operational standstill, with neither Kiev nor Moscow able to drum up enough ground troops and weapons to turn the course of the conflict, Western officials assess. Extra shot of lethal aid could help Ukrainian forces gain the upper hand as Russian troops struggle with losses inflicted by U.S.-made missile systems. I would say that you are seeing a complete, and the senior defense that's added that it's important to both sustain Ukrainian battlefield successes and enable them to make gains as the conflict shifts. We want to make sure that Ukraine has a steady stream of ammunition to meet its needs, and that what we're doing with its package. The latest lethal aid follows the $1 billion in weapons and equipment given to the embattled country earlier this largest such tranche pledged since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th. The package also pushes the U.S. past the $10 billion mark for military assistance for Ukraine under the Biden administration, spread out over 19 packages since August 2021. Couldn't even get the American the Build Back Better passed and everything, but
19 packages since 2021?
Yes.
Like dealing with war budgets?
Is inefficient and doesn't know how to get things done. They very
no,
much
but I'm
do.
saying all 19 are MIC related, you mean?
Yeah, I believe so. there's packages to Ukraine for various things for it, but yeah, it's
we're paying for their health care. Literally. There's articles breaking down what our money is being, what the government who's like, we're sending another package. We are literally paying for Ukraine's healthcare right now. Literally. We are even paying for some of them to go to college.
So nice. So
Fucking
nice
astounding.
that the U.S. is providing for citizens of another country. But
ain't that the irony? When I was growing up, before I was really like political, it used to bother me so bad the way Republicans would be like, help your own people first. And I'd be like, that's so fucking racist. Why wouldn't we, why wouldn't we help people in other countries? But then when it comes to war, it's just like, why don't you help Americans instead of focusing all your shit on other countries? And yes, I know, MMT and there's infinite amounts of money and everything, but I don't want the money on war. So that's kind of a separate thing. I know we have the money for both, but I don't want both. I'd rather just not have war at all. Get that out of the equation. And then, maybe, I don't know, give people like healthcare and shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the thing that really, and weapons that we are just, that the U.S. is just continuing to fund, right? The package, it says right here, the package will consist of 1,000 javelins, 36,105 artillery rounds, mine clearing equipment, 40 mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles to allow Ukrainian troops to travel through areas rigged with mines. Okay? I mean, I don't want people dying, so that, but 1,500 tube-launched, optically tracked wire-guided missiles, 2,000 anti-armor, it's just like, the U.S. is fighting this war. And Israel's healthcare is funded by the U.S., I believe, too. But I think for me, too, it's like, you think about this and it opens up further hostility that Russia has, and who's to know that there's just not going to be some terrorist attack that happens here in the United States from Russia because of just continuously providing all these heavy weaponry
and inserting ourselves in shit that doesn't have a damn thing to do with us.
Right. Exactly. And so, yeah. And it's just, there's never any debate. It just quickly just happens, and there's no like play-by-play, right? When it comes to this type of war, everyone just agrees to it, and that's, I think, to me, just it just shows to me where everyone's priorities are.
Absolutely. Can you actually close out of everything we've already went over? I think that could be why you're like,
yeah.
all those windows.
I've been.
And I think we have one topic left, I believe. Okay, maybe that didn't work.
Am I still okay? Am I back?
You are back, Boo.
I'm back. Yeah, I don't know. My Wi-Fi has been acting up as good as it previously was, so I don't know what the deal is. But we will make this So this of Sam Harris speaking.
Sam Harris is like someone a lot of atheists and agnostics have looked to for years. I used to read him when I first became an atheist and things like that. And, you know, he was interesting in certain ways, but oh my God, if you have seen this, it's hilarious. If you haven't seen it, popcorn. It's astounding.
You're not going to get worse than Trump if you pick at random. And, you know, Hillary Clinton, for all of her flaws, was not a marginal call. It's just these are people who are normal politicians who are so much more constrained by predictable machinery, right? There's such less destroy institutions that we have to rely on, right? With any of those people in charge, including a random person in charge, a random person who's going to be terrified at the responsibility of the office and default to expert opinion, you know, across the board. You're not going to get worse than Trump if you pick at random. And, you know, Hillary Clinton, for all of her flaws,
Okay, so that's
was not
the
worse than Trump.
first
Joe
clip,
Biden,
which is
Joe Biden,
hilarious enough. But I mean, it's kind of like your typical shit lib in some ways. You're not going to get worse than Trump. Oh, Biden's kind of really similar in a lot of ways. But okay. But here's the mother load. This is the second part of the video. And hopefully we can play it the whole way through.
Oh, the mother load.
at that point, Hunter Biden literally could have had the corpses of children in his basement. I would not have cared, right? It's like there's nothing. First of all, it's Hunter Biden, right? It's not Joe Biden. But even if whatever scope of Joe Biden's corruption is, like if we could just go down that rabbit hole endlessly and understand that he's getting kickbacks from Hunter Biden's deals in Ukraine or wherever else, right, for China, it is infinitesimal compared to the corruption we know Trump is involved in. It's like a firefly to the sun, right? I mean, like there's just it doesn't even stack up against Trump University, right? Trump University as a story is worse than anything that could be in Hunter Biden's laptop, in my view, right? Now that doesn't answer the people who say it's still completely unfair to not have looked at the laptop in a timely way and to have shut down the New York Post's Twitter account. Like that's just a conspiracy. That's a left-wing conspiracy to deny the presidency to Donald Trump. Absolutely, it was absolutely right. But I think it was warranted, right? And again, it's a coin toss as to whether or not
Sam, I'm sorry.
That particular piece.
I'm really sorry. I was the one that said we should move on, but you've just said something I really struggle with there, which is
the kids in the basement.
Fuck the kids in the basement. I'm interested in democracy. You're saying you are content with a left-wing conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically re-elected as president.
Well, no, I'm content. Well, but the thing is, it's just not left-wing, right? So Liz Cheney is not left-wing, right? Liz Cheney is doing everything in her power.
You're content with a conspiracy to prevent somebody being democratically elected.
But there's nothing conspiracy. It's not. It was a conspiracy out in the open. But it doesn't matter if it was. It doesn't matter what part's conspiracy, what part's out in the open. I mean, I think it's like if people get together and talk about what should we do about this phenomenon. You know, if it's like if there was an asteroid hurtling toward Earth, and we got in a room together with all of our friends and had a conversation about what we could do to deflect its course, right? Is that a conspiracy? You know, like some of
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's a 2-minute clip, and it is just like you could analyze it for like 5 hours. First of all, it's not Biden, it's Hunter Biden. Oh, okay, because y'all make fucking Trump's kids trend every fucking day. just because they said something or wore something, but now all of a sudden kids are off limits. Like, what the fuck? And then Biden could have dead kids in his basement and it wouldn't be as bad as Trump University. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh my fucking God. And I thought this was, parody at first. And then I was like, no, wait, he sounds exactly like Vote Blue No Matter Who people. Exactly like them. It does not matter what they did. They are the boogeymen, period. There are ways to try to rationalize every single thing Blue Team does. And the fact that he legit said he's okay with thwarting democracy as long as the Dems win. That's fucked up. I don't want Trump in office. I don't want Republicans in office. But I want democracy. Like, what the fuck? I mean, I didn't vote for Dems the last 2 elections anyway. I don't give a fuck. But, like, the fact that, like, he is totally okay with, fake elections as long as it's in his favor. That is also Vote Blue No Matter Who people. That is exactly what they sound like.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, and how shamelessly he says it too. It's just matter of factly like, oh, there should be a way to stop that if we so want to. And so, yeah, I think it's just a reminder of how, particularly people of Sam Harris's stature, right? He's a very well-off person, and how these people just think they can always just get their way when it comes to these things.
Yeah. And, I mean, I don't know who the guys were who hosted it, but they seem truly dumbfounded. I don't know if they're dumbfounded because they were conservative or what. He's like, I don't give a fuck about the kids in the basement. I care about democracy. And I was like, well, I kind of like that, but I kind of don't. It's kind of fucking creepy.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, let's want to just look through some of the comments, give a last kind of minute shout out. So, let's see here.
So this is, essentially what we do every Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We do, just current news that most people aren't talking about, and just kind of give our takes. And, I'm an activist and an organizer and a disabled woman. And, so I have my perspective. And then, Andrew is in Boston and he works in a school type atmosphere. And he, has his perspective. So we just kind of go back and forth on what, our takes on certain things. And it's so fucking good to be back. Like, it feels so good. And seeing all these comments are fucking amazing. Andrew, do you want to? Oh, I see we just got another super chat.
Yeah, so first of all, Double K, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And 86 Blackberry White. Our government funds it, I should say, not us as citizens. Yeah, I believe that was to the Ukraine thing. And then, in result to we fund Israel's healthcare too, I believe. Yes. Got it.
What is it?
No, and then, well, in response to 86 Blackberry White saying we fund Israel's healthcare too, I believe. Right, the U.S. funds it, not citizens.
Oh yeah, we fund everything in Israel. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then Mardina Wilcuts, imagine if other industries worked that way. People at McDonald's would spill hot grease on people so they could get a paid vacation. And then let's see here. Another one. Yep, here we got a cab. Jenna dissolved its departments, hopefully in an acid bath. Yeah.
Jenna, we're on YouTube. Not
I love Julie saying, and I believe this was in response to Price, stepping down. Maybe now he will have time to read the deficit myth.
Oh shit! Nav! Yes! Yes! Oh, dude, I'm gonna tweet that shit at him. Oh my god, that's funny as hell.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Desert Mantis. So in response to Lisa Sandrosen asking about Starbucks, how bad it is. No, I used to shop there about 4 years ago, but no longer. I have heard similar complaints like your sister related, and many people shop there several times daily. Arg. I think that was regarding Starbucks or maybe some other place. But yeah. So
I've never bought anything at Starbucks in my life. I'm not a coffee person, but in 2016 they endorsed Hillary. A lot of people don't remember that.
Oh, was it Howard Schultz endorsed Hillary?
I believe it. Well, yes, but I believe he did it on behalf of the company, which was very rare.
Yeah.
But that always kind of sticks in my mind as to,
I mean, I'm guessing it probably wasn't the quote unquote partners. That's the workers at Starbucks and more.
Oh no.
I guess because I mean, obviously it depends on where in the country and everything, but I mean, a lot of the people who work at Starbucks are pretty left leaning.
Yeah, I mean, I've interviewed many of them. You've had some too, and they're intelligent, they're hardworking. They are not trying to skirt anything. They're not saying we don't want to work as hard. The thing that's the most heartbreaking is these people are very passionate about what they do. They take it very seriously. They work off the clock. They help train people. They go the extra mile, and not because they feel obligated, but because they want to. That's the one thing I find in common so much with them is that they're very passionate people. And that's why it sucks so bad that they're getting taken advantage of even more.
Yeah, for sure. Desert Mantis just said Princeton and Northwestern issued a report in 2019 that concluded the U.S. is an oligarchy. I would love to see that report and read it. Not that
it's an oligarchy.
The oligarchy, yeah. Yeah, Desert says we both did great tonight. Thank you very much, Desert.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Looking forward to next Monday. Same time, same place every Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Andrew, what you got coming up?
Yeah, so if you want to like and subscribe my channel, People's Voice Network, as well. It's on my Twitter account, and you will find other additional shows and leftist news and such going on. So we've got Thursday show going on with Endemic Times, Amira. So a few of us will be on there. So looking forward to that. And then, that's about the extent that I got going on. Joy, take it away.
So this Thursday, because I'm out of work with COVID, I haven't been able to do my that time in the month with Ron Placone for about 3 months, actually 4 months, because I work during the day and we always do it at Thursday afternoon. So because of COVID, me and Ron will be doing our that time in the month this Thursday. So that's coming up. And I do want to give a shout out to my comrades at Camp Dada. The Bank sisters have been like, they are like my sisters. I love them so much. They are phenomenal. They were there with us numerous days in DC for M for All last month. They volunteered, they protested with us, and they are incredible, and they are doing an amazing thing that is coming up Labor Day weekend. They are going to the Hamptons to camp out. A bunch of rich ass white folks are going to probably shit some bricks because there's going to be a whole bunch of activists. And what they're doing is they're camping out. They are going to be doing things for art things like painting, things like that. They're also going to be doing workshops. They're also going to be doing bonding exercises and some direct action, and they made food, so it's it's going to be camping but activist style. And Dada was a painting person decades ago, so it's kind of based off of that. But please give them a shout out, follow them, go to their website, because they are phenomenal, and it's such a great idea. I wish I could go. But just think about that, a bunch of activists infiltrating the freaking Hamptons. Ooh, it's gonna be beautiful. That's like last month when me and my M for All comrades protested Pelosi's house. Ooh, those people, let me tell you, those like white chicks in their 20s did not like me. I was like eating it up. I'm like, come on. No. Run a train on that shit. Keep it coming. I don't fucking care. It was fun. It feels good to just tell these fuckers to just, like, we have a right to be here. This is our right. You don't like it? Tough fucking shit. Go shop. Like, what do you want? Here's the interesting thing about Pelosi's house that we protested. She has over 20 houses, by the way. The one we protested is in a fucking mall. In an outdoor mall. It's above a bougie ass, like $3,000 for a black t-shirt store. And there's a promenade and water fountains and all this shit. It's I felt like I needed to have $1,000 in my pocket to even walk there. I've never been around something like that in my life. And yeah, they didn't really like us too much, which made me realize we were doing the right thing. So yeah, I digress, but please support Camp Dada. They're freaking amazing. And always support direct action, especially women of color, because they just don't get enough recognition. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the super chats, and thank you to RPIA for having me back and letting me bring Andrew along. We will see you guys next Monday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Take care.